Okay, we got everything in the fermenter. I'm going to put a stopper in this one for now. Okay. I took a sample, and it was kind of towards the bottom, so this gravity reading might be off a little bit. You can see it's kind of cloudy, and it picked up some of the crud at the bottom of the fermenter. This is a hydrometer, all right, and the hydrometer measures how heavy the liquid is compared to liquid water. Liquid water's gravity, that's the actual measurement we're getting, is called specific gravity. Water's gravity is 1, so it's in comparison to 1. Has a weight at the bottom and the meter at the side. So if we drop this in here, we don't have enough wort in there to get a measurement. Alright, I had to use a wine thief to get a little sample from the carboy. It goes in the sink. And you turn this so that, try to turn it so that you can see where on the meter it lies. And it looks like our specific gravity is 1.037. Okay, so it is 1.037 times heavier than water, and that's because of the sugar, and I'm actually going to say it's 0.036 because of the extra sediment in there, which is precisely the gravity we were aiming for. Right? As it ferments, the yeast is going to remove the sugar, turn it into carbon dioxide and alcohol, which is going to make the liquid lighter in comparison to previously. So that gravity is going to drop as it ferments. Our final gravity is going to be somewhere around 1.012, I think, and from those two measurements we can calculate what the alcohol content will be. It's going to be somewhere around 3.5%. So after the fermentation is done, we'll take another reading with the hydrometer, see where it is, and then we'll be able to tell what the alcohol content is pretty accurately. All right, so that's the last thing that we're going to do before aerating. I forgot about that little step. So now on to aeration, which is essentially putting a stopper in the side of this and then shaking the crap out of it. This puts oxygen into the solution. Okay, lift it back up. Also mixes it with the yeast pretty well. And you can feel the air kind of suck in because it pulls more in. So you do this for a little while, give it a little bit of oxygen. This is the only time where it's okay to expose it to the air. After this, you really want to keep it airtight. Okay. Open it up again. Nice color. I'm really happy with the color on this. This carboy has a thermometer on it. And it appears to be working just fine. It's reading a temperature of 66 degrees, just what we measured downstairs with the chiller setup. 66 degrees is a great pitching temperature for this style, and we really want to keep it at about that temperature if we can. Fermenting is going to increase the temperature by a degree or two, just the activity of the yeast. So we do have to keep that in mind. I'm probably going to start this in the basement where it's a little cooler. Just get that temperature down to even 60 or so is going to be fine. If you let the temperature get too high, the yeast get too active and they start producing off flavors, chemicals that we don't want in the beer. And they can get anywhere from really intense banana to clove, those are phenols, things that you just don't want. Right? That's probably going to be good enough aeration. And now for our final step before fermenting, the airlock. As I said, we want this exposed to as little air as possible. So we have this little guy that allows the carbon dioxide to escape as it's fermenting while allowing no additional air to get in. So after it's once it started fermenting, it's going to fill this area, it's called headspace, with carbon dioxide, which is basically a barrier against bacteria. So once we've got to that point, we're in pretty good shape. So you fill this with water or some sort of alcohol. We've used rum or vodka in the past. I think this time I'm just going to use water. It's worked fine. So remove the airlock, fill it with just a little bit of water. too much in there. Okay, it should be good. Now you'll know that there's fermentation activity when this starts to bubble, because that means there's CO2 escaping. And there it is. That's it. That'll sit for about a week for primary fermentation. There's layers of bubbles that you see right now have nothing to do with fermentation. That's just the aerating process. Those will go away, and here in about 24 hours they'll be replaced by bubbles of a different kind from the beginnings of fermentation. And so I'll be sure to record a little bit of that once it starts to happen. So until next time.